Thank you, PJ. It is time for another edition of the Pair and a Spare podcast. I'm Justin Gaard from KFAN. We've got Chip Scoggins, Mr. Projects from football across Minnesota. And all he's missing is Babe the Blue Ox. It's Ryan Paul Bunyan Burns in his flannel. And is that a Carhartt hat there today? You went with you said it before I could say it. It's the Paul Bunyan's Axe Burnsy glow up today for those that are watching on YouTube. And hopefully we'll have YouTube up today. International YouTube meltdown last week in the Bahamas. I don't think I could ever get the episode actually posted on YouTube. Got locked out of my account for a while. That was fun. Love doing that rather than being on the beach with my family. So we'll figure it out. But how's everybody doing? Paul, how are you today?
Well, I'm just glad that you could make it back here to the Midwest. And I know you tweeted out the photo of a 24-hour difference between you with your toes in the white sand versus then the white snow and you on the sidelines. We're just so blessed to have you back here in the continental United States, Justin.
Yep. There's I enjoyed every second of the Bahamas because I knew what I was coming back to. I kept my feet where they were. I touched some grass, as the Utah governor would say. I touched some grass because I was following from afar what was going on back here and what we would be entering upon reintegration to the upper Midwest. And I said, I'm going to enjoy myself. You're a true Minnesotan, though, when you land. You leave an island that's 85 degrees when you leave. You land in Minneapolis, it's 21 degrees or whatever it was on Friday night. You're walking on the jet bridge and you go, that's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Well, it's the wind that gets you, Justin. Come on.
It is. And Saturday it was the snow. The snow was the problem on Saturday. It was not the cold. The temps were fine. They are what they are. As you always say, Burnsy, there's no bad weather, just bad clothing. I am very seasoned as a sideline reporter. I was completely geared up, so I was warm, but the snow just never stopped, which made the game look awesome, but everything was just snow all over it. All my stuff, you saw what we were doing out on Oak Street, Burnsy, just to try to keep everything dry, but it was a lot easier in the Bahamas to get the equipment going. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, Chip, have you ever covered a game such as that, where every 5 to 10 minutes during media timeouts, they got shovels at the 5-yard lines, hashes, sidelines? I mean, you've seen a lot of football.
Yeah, I think the only one I have was a Vikings-Baltimore game.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You remember the one that had like 6 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes?
Yes.
It was crazy. That would have been 2013.
That was a Leslie Frazier year, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I feel like Cordero Patterson may have
Cordero
had
Patterson.
Joe Webb game?
What's that?
The Joe Webb game at TCF Bank Stadium. I think there was one in December, wasn't there?
There may have been. I don't
the one
that.
the real snow globe where it felt like they had a shovel. That's the only one I'm sure there were others, but that's the one that really sticks out. I was thinking about this driving home that night. It's like, I don't know I'd want to cover 12 snow globe games, but they're fun as hell, like every couple of years to see one. Probably wasn't fun to sit out in, but I love those. There's something kind of comically, I don't know if charming is the word, to watch guys have to be cautious with their footing coming out of breaks. And I mean, it's not the most well played, obviously, football, because they can't run and cut like they normally do, but it's fun to watch. I mean, it sure is aesthetically pleasing when you watch a football game in a snow globe like that.
It's just one of those things where if it happens once every 10 years, which, again, I think we've been doing this, now, Guardsy, 15 years? I can't remember a Gopher game like this. You enjoy it for what it is. To Chip's point, you don't want to watch it all the time, but to put a kind of an exclamation point on the home season where you go 7-0 at home for the first time since 67. I think technically actually 7-0 since 30s. I think in 67 they were 6-0, but just a chaotic end to a chaotic season.
Well, our buddy Scott Docterman was in town to cover the game. He'd never covered it before, and I don't know if you saw the story he wrote. He followed around. He went to a couple tailgates. He wanted to do a whole thing on how do people tailgate in this weather, which he's obviously familiar with, he's from Iowa.
Yep.
But he wrote, for those unfamiliar with the upper Midwest, a stiff northern wind first bites your nose, then freezes your soul. Here it's winter. Elsewhere, it's torture. That's right. If you're not from here, you don't get it. Yeah. And even if you're from here, you sometimes wonder, what are we doing here? I'm looking at I've got like a 5-generation Gaard family photo that my wife got me a few years ago when I became a father. Rasmus K. Gaard, 1847 to 1911. Why did Rasmus Gaard have to settle here in the upper Midwest? I'm looking at Rasmus. He looks like a nice guy. He's got a little stovetop pipe. He's got a beard. He's got one of those hats on from the day. Rasmus, point the compass south, brother. Point the compass south and help me out.
But don't you think the fans, I mean, you saw the student section throwing snowballs, and it's one of those things that if you're there, you might. That's the thing. I felt like, again, I don't think the fans would want to do it 7 times. But if you're doing this once every 5 years, I felt like they really got into it and said, hey, this is kind of fun. Because you're right, Guardsy. Easy for me to say from the press box, but I don't think it was like bitterly cold, right? It was just the snow that was the.
Right. And everybody knows how to dress. No one could have been surprised when they woke up that, oh, shoot, where's my long underwear? Where are my wool socks? Yeah, it was. But the crowd loved it. I was expecting, and this shows you how even my mind needs to change sometimes. I was not expecting a great crowd. I was not expecting there to be whatever there was. I know they announced 46. It wasn't that, but let's say 40,000. And I was not expecting a full student section. And It was full like early. Like they sat in it extra. And it was great. It was such a fun environment. And then obviously they're out there doing snow angels with the axe after. And it's like, if you're going to sit in that for 5 hours, do whatever the hell you want. Like go do whatever you want after the game. You've earned it.
We were watching it was kind of funny though. We were watching when the students were pouring on. They were running this way and the axe was going that way. They ran right. Yeah,
nobody knew where to go.
I was like, who cares? They just wanted to be on the field. Yeah, they wanted to kind of see the axe, but they just wanted to be on the field. But it was like ships passing in the night. Like the axe was going
Eric LeCaptain sprinting by a bunch of drunken 21-year-olds. Well, so what about the football? What do we want to discuss about the game where the Gophers, I thought, pretty much controlled it the whole time, right? They had the 10-0 lead. They gave up the one ridiculous play defensively. They gave up the controversial touchdown. But other than that, Wisconsin would move the ball and then turn it over. And so I never really felt like the Gophers were in much danger of losing it. And I'll be honest, going into the game, I said this to you, Burnsy, I had 2018 vibes about this game after what we saw in Northwestern, the reverse 2018, where for people not old enough to remember, the Gophers at 5-6 went over to Camp Randall and won the axe for the first time in like a half a generation. Wisconsin was kind of going the wrong way, kind of scuffling, had quarterback issues. The Gophers were surging with some late season post Rob Smith momentum. And I had no illusions that day that the Gophers were going to snap the axe streak, but it makes sense in the postscript because they were feeling good about themselves. They went to the Detroit bowl game after. But that's how I was feeling going into this one. Reverse. Wisconsin had played better football. They'd beaten 2 top 25 teams, including just routing Illinois at home the week before. And you can't say Minnesota was feeling great. You were at Wrigley like I was at Wrigley, Burnsy. That was as down a locker room and frustrated a locker room that I remember for a million different reasons. And so I was impressed that they kept Wisconsin where they needed to keep Wisconsin because to give the Badgers anything offensively on a day like that, given their offensive struggles, would have been a bad deal. And they got the axe now for the 4th time in 5 years.
Well, that's where I'm just excited that at least from the Gopher coaches coming into that game, I think about a quote from Greg Harbaugh where we asked him, this isn't just another game to the fan base. Do you feel that? And he's like, well, we have to approach it 1-0, but we're also well aware that we're judged really on 2 games more than any others from this fan base. And so I think the players knew that. I think the coaches knew that. I think that's a bad Wisconsin team, which is part of why I thought Minnesota was going to win all week. But I posed this question to you on Go for Football Sunday, Guardsy, and I'll pose it to Chip. How audibly loud do you think the sigh of relief was from Danny Collins when he watched the freshman quarterback for Wisconsin snap the ball into the motion man, and then John Nestor at the bottom of a scrum is the one that comes away with it?
Yeah. I mean, obviously Gophers coming off a really bad loss, but I didn't think that Wisconsin offense was going to be able to generate anything, to be honest with you, because coming into that game, they were the 2nd worst offense in major college football in both scoring and total yards.
135 out of 136.
In both categories.
Yep.
So they're terrible in good conditions. I didn't think that they were going to be able to move the ball in those conditions. And yeah, they got the one play where the corner got caught looking in the wrong place and flat-footed a little bit. But so I thought, and obviously the Gophers have played differently at home than they have on the road. So once they got Darius's touchdown, I felt like, okay, that's probably it. 10 points is probably all they need today. And, they're to their credit. I mean, Nestor played the game of his life. He's had some tough moments this year. Obviously at Ohio State, that was a tough game, but you like to see him. I mean, those are good plays, particularly the second interception. I mean, that was,
yep.
to cut that route off. I mean, so it was, I wasn't surprised. And I thought the Gophers played that exactly how they need to play. I thought Drake was ridiculously efficient. Didn't throw for many yards, but he had 2 drops.
Completions, 90 yards.
Yeah, he had 2 drops on the first drive, so he should have been like 20 or 24. And even, I know the fans, they had the ball around midfield and they punted. It was the third or fourth quarter when the fans booed.
Yeah.
And you know me, I've been critical of PJ's play calling in lack of aggressiveness. There's no way on God's green earth do you go for that right there.
No.
You punt that ball 10 out of 10 times.
Correct.
Make that offense. If they can go 90 yards or whatever it is against your defense, it wasn't going to happen, I didn't think. So you absolutely, PJ played that right. I think they played it right. I thought Drake, we could talk about him. I wrote this for my column, kind of as a 30,000-foot view. To me, he's the takeaway of the season. We're going to, we'll discuss what we think about the season. But I thought that game came down to their quarterback didn't make mistakes and Wisconsin's did.
I mean, that's kind of been the story of the season for at least. There's a lot of awards for the Gopher offense. Lord knows we spent the entire year talking about them. But the one thing that they do better than any other Big Ten school is they were number 1 in the least amount of giveaways as an offense. They had the least amount of giveaways of any Big Ten team. So that's interceptions or fumbles lost. And in the month of November, they're the only Big Ten team to not have a giveaway. And in a game where field position mattered more than anything. And I think Tom Weston did a pretty good job of pinning Wisconsin's offense within the 15-yard line. And then Drake, for even his Donovan McNabb Minnesota Vikings average depth of target, where everything was close to the line of scrimmage because of the weather, that was the story of the year. Is outside of one game at Iowa, where a lot of freshman quarterbacks go into Kinnick and they don't play well, Drake Lindsay takes care of the football for a freshman quarterback, which – I think the pride of Mounds View is probably listening to this. So, Adam, please don't take this the wrong way. But Adam Weber threw a lot of passes as a freshman, threw a lot of touchdowns, 24, but he had 19 picks. I mean, that's a lot of giveaways. And Drake, now at the end of the regular season with just 6 interceptions on 300-plus pass attempts, that's a pretty good foundation to start with.
Yeah, if you had told us at the beginning of the year that he would have double digits in interceptions, I think I would probably say, yeah, that's probably typical of a first-time quarterback. And to have 6 with the number of throws, I looked it up during the game. I mean, he finished with the 5th most completions in program history, single season, and I think it was 10th, 9th or 10th in attempts. So it wasn't like they were playing it close to the vest with the young guy. I mean, they wasn't exactly as many throws as Brosmer, I think, last year, but they let him throw the ball, and for him to only have 6 interceptions, that's pretty impressive. It shows you he has both accuracy and decision making. That for a young guy, that's pretty impressive. So, no, I think to me that was an impressive season when you consider, and the Iowa thing. That game, to me, what happened to me in my mind is the defense fell behind 10-0 and he got antsy and kind of panicked and felt like he pressed.
For sure.
I don't know if panicked is right. He started pressing so I think that was a product of being behind 10-0. But for him to have the season he had with an offensive line that was in flux all year, that really never solidified, I don't think, with statistically one of the worst run games in college football. They finished 130th in rushing, which
crazy.
They've got to be better there. And wide receivers who are inconsistent. There's not really a game changer in that wide receiver room. It's not like he has, like Tanner had 2 NFL wide receivers that he was throwing to. So for him to do what he did with less than ideal circumstances around him, you can't tell that's not a successful freshman season and reason to give you optimism going forward.
What I liked about it, I talked about it on the radio, the last month or so, he's really leaned into I'm going to get on your ass publicly if you're screwing up. Leadership style, yelling at offensive linemen for false starting. He was on Javon Tracy right away, on that first drop. Like, dude, let's go. We've been working on this play all week. It's snowing out here. I threw a dot to you. Catch the ball. I wasn't out there on the field, and I couldn't read his lips, but I imagine it was something along those lines. I like the fact that he definitely became more of an alpha in that way. And I think that can only help him in the offseason, right? Now the challenge is fix the line, get your running backs healthy if that's possible. And because they played without their second running back pretty much all year, right? A.J. Turner. Femi Ejabo, I don't think was going to get as many carries as he thought as he got this year. And figure out a way to improve the pass catchers or get more consistency out of the pass catchers because you have a guy. You definitely have a guy. Your column chip was right on, I thought, and consistent with everything that we've talked about all season. Really from the first couple of games, you said it. We can see why they were comfortable giving it to a redshirt freshman, even though the season obviously, especially on the road, didn't go the way that they wanted it to with, Cal and Northwestern right at the top of my list. If you're investing in a young guy for the future, because they were doing that a couple of years ago too, remember? PJ, a lot of what he was talking about with Athan was people don't see the improvements. You got to see what I see in practice, and you're investing in a young guy. These are kind of the bumps you have to go with. That feels, if there's anything more than 180 degrees more dramatic difference than this, that's the Bahamas on Friday to the Snow Globe on Saturday. Because he didn't even have to say that much with Drake this year, that we're investing in the future, so we're going to have to live with some stuff. They didn't have to live with a whole lot with him. They had to live with a lot of other stuff, but with him, it was the Iowa game. There's 3 picks. I was thinking about it. Was it Buffalo, the 4th pick, where Jamison Gears fell and it kicked off the shoe?
hit the shoe.
So that's not a bad pick. So I mean, I could talk myself into 2 interceptions for Drake Lindsay if you take out those, whatever. So it was a great freshman year, and now you got to build everything up around him, because imagine what he could do with some dudes.
Yeah, and you're right about the leadership. I mean, I think it just, for any young guy, it takes a little bit of time to get comfortable in your own skin and feel comfortable getting on guys. I mean, particularly, what is he, 19, Burns? He's probably 19 years old, maybe 20, I don't know.
He's 20, yeah.
But if you're getting on a 5th-year, 6th-year guy, I mean, it's just, you're probably not going to do that day one, right? Even though you're the quarterback and you're the leader. But I think he just got gradually more comfortable with that part of it. But to me, it's the decision making.
Yep.
I mean, it really is. It's like, even Saturday, he knew he wasn't going to be able to take chances in that game. So he said, okay, I'm going to play within what I need to do. I'm going to those short passes here, move the sticks, keep the chains moving. To me, that's in a rivalry game with the excitement of all that going on. I mean, he played within himself. And so I think his decision-making was probably number one for me, and it's reflected in his low turnover rate. And so that's all the other stuff you're going to get better at, right? I mean, here's the thing. I mean, think about, and I know, I wrote that column, and you can imagine what some of the reaction I got was. I mean, he's going to, because I said the thing that he's in good hands. Yeah, he's going to be in good hands with another program, or he's going to be it's like, oh my God.
Do we need to play the Guardsy rant from about 2 months
No, we're not going to do that, but
I've got other rants coming.
Can we not just say he's I know. Anyways, I just having this experience, and then next year just think, okay, I've seen this, I've done that, I've been in this situation, I've been at Iowa where it's a tough situation. I think he's just going to, you always make that biggest jump from 1 to 2, right? Year 1 to year 2 as a quarterback. And I think if you surround him with better infrastructure, I think he could take a big leap.
And that's where I think there's 2 things from that is, one, especially with the amount of whiffs, or I guess not even whiffs, but not hits that they had in the transfer portal, where you can point to John Nestor and Tom Weston in this game as key contributors of why Minnesota won. But overall, throughout the entire season, there's not enough hits in the portal. Well, how do you combat that? How do you change that? How do you adapt going into 26? And I think Drake Lindsay should be a case study where Greg Harbaugh got a freshman, Drake Lindsay, ready to go. Again, he spent the redshirt year getting him ready, spent the offseason getting him ready, and Drake was ready. There wasn't enough young players that I think there are, as athletic players, and especially with signing day coming up, there's going to be as athletic as we've seen in the younger classes, but you have to do a better job of getting those guys ready to go, whether that's mentally in the playbook, whether that's physically in the weight room, because if you're not going to be able to afford what you need to afford out of the portal, then you need to pour in to the young guys that you have. And so I'm thinking about places like going up forward next year, offensive line, receiver, defensive line, like any position. And you hope that they learn from that and say, well, look at what Drake did as a freshman. Now, if we can get that to happen at another 2 or 3 positions next year, because we know what we have for limited budget for portal spending, then yeah, we can actually take that next step. And then the other thing is, I've seen the reaction here online too of, well, great, the Gophers beat a bad Wisconsin team. 4th out of the last 5 years, the Gophers have had the axe. Last time that happened was 86-90. Now, Chip, let me ask you this. There was a stretch from 2004 to 2017 where the Badgers won the axe every year. There was a lot of bad Gopher football teams in that. Did those games still count the same? Can you please clarify for me?
I'm not sure what you're getting at. I'm trying to figure out.
He doesn't like the implication, because I got it too. Well, Wisconsin's terrible. They should be beating them 4 out of 5.
Well, no, it still counts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you. Yeah.
It's a silly argument. It's just silly.
Well, it's
ended up being favored in that game, Wisconsin.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Wisconsin's on. Oh, you're asking me to look at it from Wisconsin's side. No, I don't think they say, well, Gophers are bad. Who cares? It's just.
Yeah, we won.
Yeah. Yeah.
We won. We kept the axe.
Yeah.
It was great. And it's been interesting. I've listened to a lot of things out of Wisconsin this week, and it is just interesting how they frame it. They don't frame it that way, like
how are they framing it?
Well, they're actually, perish the thought, giving the Gophers credit. For being,
Well, how
it's just it's an interesting deal.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, we're not going to sit here and say this is not Barry Alvarez's Wisconsin. It's not Paul Chris's Brett Bielema's Wisconsin. It's not. But it's still a rivalry game, still an axe. It still matters. So it's like,
Yep.
I'm not sure. You don't apologize for someone else's struggles. That's
correct.
That's my point.
Exactly right. And you wonder, why are they struggling and why aren't the Gophers struggling as much? We talked about this with all the teams in the Big Ten. Like, why is Nebraska still scuffling? Why Michigan State just fired their coach?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think they're going to be scuffling very much longer, though.
I'm fascinated by Pat Fitzgerald. You guys know that. I'm glad he's back in. I'm excited to see where it goes. But I also wonder what Joe Rossi's thinking right now. That was a tough one, right? That was a tough one. But anyway, we got sidetracked there because Burnsy's being vindictive, and it's not the vindictive segment of the podcast yet. We'll get to that.
That's right.
Is there anything else about the game in particular you want to talk about? I think we've covered most of it. It was a pretty standard victory, which is, again, they hadn't had one of those at home, right? Even in the Big Ten, they went 7-0 at home, and we said that going into the season. Like, they have a very inviting home schedule. Take advantage of it. They did. Mm-hmm. They did. And the swing games, like we thought Nebraska was going to be a swing game, they dominated that game. That was probably their best performance of the season, right? From sun up to sun down, that was their best performance. And then obviously they needed some weird stuff against Rutgers, definitely against Michigan State. And then Wisconsin comes here and they're feeling good about themselves. And there's so much so that people over there are predicting a 38-7 Wisconsin victory, which we'll get to in a little bit.
What?
We'll get to it, Chip. And they handled themselves. So it was funny, and I talked about this with Burnsy on Sunday because I don't typically share stuff that I see in the locker room because it's not open. Like, I'm there to do my stuff, and so I hear a lot. And in 10 years, I'm going to write the book, 25 years on the Gopher sidelines, and Chapter 4 is already going to be titled Culture versus Skill, the Nebraska series. I've already got that figured out. But PJ talked about going 7-0 in the press conference, and he talked about it with me, and that is a big deal, right? Like, you want to protect your home field, and you want to give your fans good experiences, and they did all that. And so he brought that up with the team like he did in the press conference and said, we're trying to build something where that's the expectation, and you guys went 7-0, and that's a great job. And the team started to cheer that they went 7-0 at home. And he goes, we lost them all on the road, fellas. We lost them all on the road. Like, you just cut them off. Like, yeah, that's great. But we got to figure that part out too. Which
I appreciate. I appreciate him doing that.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he knows. He's not an idiot. He knows that they played horribly on the road. Even against in the quote unquote swing games. Like they left so much on the table. And he said that with me at the end. There's meat on the bone here that we got to go find. And with Drake and hopefully some additions and everything, theoretically they're going to do that in the next few years. But when we looked at the schedule, we said it and it sounded weird to say, like they should be 6-1 minimum at home, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
we've never said that before about a schedule, but you looked at it and said if they are who they think they're going to be, go to get that done. And it was a fun year to be a season ticket holder, I would imagine, Burnsy.
Yeah, I mean, these are the types of things where, again, it wasn't always pretty at home, but they found ways to win at home. And if you're trying to continually build a fan base and one that, again, I think every single year is continually getting younger, you have to give them experiences such as what was on Saturday, where I will continue to say it, but the student section improvement from when I was a student to even the early years of Fleck to what it is today is just mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
Where you mentioned it. The student section was full before the game. The rest of the stadium, I can assure you, was not.
They were turning off their heaters and putting their food back in the car.
And Chip would tell you, I mean, the overlap, and I'm well aware too, between Madison students and the U of M students. There's a lot of friends, and it's Thanksgiving week, and people come home because I think Guardsy loves to tell you, all the Twin Cities kids who don't go to the U, they go to Madison, and they get to come home for Thanksgiving. So I'm sure
their parents go pick them up in the snowstorm.
Yeah. I didn't this time. I didn't. I backed out. We put them on a bus.
Hey, good for you. We were telling you that last week. Good job.
I know.
Good job. I'm sure you were tracking his location the whole time.
We were. Yeah,
I'm sure you were.
The roads were fine by the time they
still
left.
On 94. Still on it. Still on it.
No, we were texting because he was watching the Timberwolves games on his phone.
We still got kids going and using the Megabus or the Greyhound or whatever you put them on. I remember using that back in the day.
Yeah, it was. Well, you can tell all the parents say the same thing because it's a student only bus. Like students put it on. It's not the Badger bus. I forgot what they call it, but we met there in downtown St. Paul and it was leaving like 3:30. There must have been 200 kids there getting on that bus. All the parents had the same thought that.
Did they all get on a bus back down to Lakeville, or did everybody take their car?
They stopped at Lakeville and picked them up.
They stopped on. Yeah, that's what I thought. 35W down south.
I set that one up like belt high fastball for you there.
You did. Thank you. Thank you. We're in mid-season form.
Yeah, no, I mean it was funny. You saw some, wasn't a lot, but you saw some Badger fans sitting in there in the student section, which I like that they can do that, and there's not going to be assaults, and you can just have fun together.
Too. It's fun.
Yeah, you can have fun. You can do it. So yeah, it's interesting. I was looking at because I was thinking about just big picture stuff and spending and all these things, and their attendance went down last year, and going into Saturday's game, they're averaging 46,600. So depending on what they announced and what it goes, it could have gone down this year. Incremental, not a lot, but it went down by about 1,000 last season from where they were. So I don't know. I mean, we can get into the big picture stuff about, and I think we're all screaming, you got to spend money, but or more money on football. And my response is, I agree with you. And no one's pounded on the table more than me in the last 20 years about this. They need to show a commitment to football, but have you seen the stadium? I mean, it's a 50,000 seat stadium that they don't sell out. Like, where's that money going to come from? Right. Where's it going to come from? I looked at the budgets. I just don't know. How are you going to make more money when you have a 50,000 seats stadium you don't sell out?
I mean, that's true, but I don't think ticket revenue or even concession revenue is going to make that much of a dent in the bottom line. If you look at just ticket revenue and concession revenue, it's actually pretty flat. Like I think you're insinuating over the last 5 years.
It's a couple million a game, essentially, is what they get for each home game.
Right. So would a couple million matter?
About 8,
yes.
As we learned when they went $30 million in the red in Gene Smith's deal. And he's like, well, we had 2 fewer football games, so we lost $16 million there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And we talked about it at the time. But yeah, it's like $2 to $3 million if you have a good crowd and everything that goes into it.
And again, next year's home slate, you do get Mississippi State coming to town, so get ready to hear your Will Ferrell cowbells ringing throughout Huntington Bank Stadium on September 12th. You've also got Iowa, Michigan, I think, next year too. But it's not the greatest of home slates again. But again, this is just a whole different podcast at that point. We can spend a lot of time on it this offseason where it's if they have a bottom three spending because they only can spend what they have, where are the other avenues to add more money? Yeah, some of it's selling out the stadiums and then, again, seat licenses and potentially raising tickets, stuff like that. But I also think there's a venue across the street that they have to start actually selling tickets to. Or
sure.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's what we say spend more money on football. It's like, yeah, and you need to spend more money on basketball too. It's
been a hell of a week for that program, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
First Med show's coming up at noon today.
Good luck. Yeah.
Any suggestions, feel free to tweet me at Guardsy what people want to talk about.
Yeah. So I think we should do a deep dive episode one time this off season, just about, because I pulled up a USA Today article from, it was March 24th of last year, where they got the revenues and expenses for every football program in Division I FBS. And I mean, they were 13th in revenue, 13th in spending, in the Big Ten. Now, those things have a lag, so they still had the Pac-12 teams in the Pac-12, but you can still look and see what they were spending and making. But
the latest fiscal year data I've seen is 16th in spending, 14th in revenue.
Yeah. So it's again, it's a tricky situation. I think we've all said you got to invest. I mean, I wish I could do a library search of how many times I said commitment in Gophers football over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I wish I'd gotten paid by reference. But I sort of, it is. I mean, now obviously we can say, well, they got the house settlement money and all these other things. Well, that's going to players. That's, that's, you're sort of hamstrung when you have A's. I saw a thing, they were 15th in attendance in the Big Ten. And
right.
that's not going to change because of the size of your stadium. You're not going to be able to get 80,000. So what do you do? I think we should do a deep dive on that sometime this offseason, try to figure out because it's a nuanced discussion that has a lot of complications and layers, and it's not as easy as, oh, this is great, this sucks, which is kind of the modern media world now,
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot.
We're aware. We're aware
So,
of the black and white nature of the modern media world, Burnsy and I specifically.
Yeah.
We're definitely aware of it. Yeah, definitely.
Ready for this one, Chipper, I want to throw at you?
Okay.
Let's take a break quick. This is a big tease.
Ooh.
All right. Is it a big tease, Burnsy?
Can't confirm nor deny. Let's get into it.
We'll come back and we'll talk about it. But first, 30 minutes in, let's pause and thank our great partners, Jack's Cafe. You see it on the scroll on the YouTube. JAXcafe.com to make your reservations. I'm sure they had a great Thanksgiving week with people bringing friends and family in. I met some people on Sunday at a Vikings watch party event that I was doing, and they were wearing Gopher stuff. It was the Brosmer watch party, which did not go great. If you're a Max Brosmer fan, like all of us are, not great for me, not great for my social media. I think the most tweeted thing I've ever viewed is me telling everybody they're not going to believe what they see on Sunday when Brosmer takes the field. That one has come back to bite me with a vengeance. People are enjoying that one from all corners of the world, it appears. But they said, yeah, we were at the game. I said, were you at the game yesterday? They said, yeah, we were at the game. It was great. Atmosphere was awesome. They've been to a bunch of road games, and they said, yeah, we actually went to Jack's Cafe before the game. And it was awesome. It was great. Had some great food. Went to Jack's, popped on over to the stadium. We didn't want to tailgate, so we went over to Jack's Cafe and then made it to the game. I'm sure people filed their way over after on Saturday night, right? It's just a perfect meeting place before or after a game. If you want to watch a game, if you have nothing to do with the game and you just want to go for a date night, breakfast with Santas are beginning this weekend. Learn more about that at jackscafe.com. My family will be there one of the Saturdays, still trying to figure out exactly which one, because they're future professional athletes, so we have them in every sport imaginable right now. We're still trying to work that out, but it's an awesome time. The kids are going to love it. Face painting, an awesome brunch. Santa's there. It's upstairs in one of their great banquet rooms. It's just the perfect time, if you haven't tried it, to go check out Jack's Cafe.
Yeah, and don't tell my wife this, but I think I'm going to take her this week. She won't listen to this, but so you won't know. But it's post Thanksgiving, and she did a lot of cooking. All the family, we did all that, and I'm sure she's like, I just don't want to cook this week. Wouldn't that be like the best? Like, hey, guess what? We're going to
What
Jack's.
A husband. How do you keep this magic alive?
I don't know. It's
unbelievable.
You don't have to be married this long.
To be this romantic,
Mr.
Chip
Romantic.
Scoggins. Unbelievable.
I thought it's what a nice gesture.
It is a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's with all the cooking it happened on Thanksgiving. It's like it's nice to have a night out where you can just you're going to get a great meal, great service, unbelievable parking lot. I can't wait.
Well, we did have some listeners after the Wisconsin win. I think Jack was the one who sent it to us. It looks like there's a couple of Gopher fans and 3 Badger fans that actually went to Jack's. I can see the photo out of them with them out on the patio.
Love it.
Again, we appreciate all of you supporting us. Again, Jack's Cafe is one of my favorite places. I was just there, from the pot pie to the walleye to the steak to Chip's creme brulee. Chipper, we also got to talk about. We'll get into some parking discussion at the end of this too, unironically, but Jack's Cafe, baby.
JacksCafe.com, JAXCafe.com. All right, what's your Burnsing question? The Burnsing question from Ryan Burns. The Burnsing question for Chip. What do we got?
So I think for the amount of years we've been doing this, I know some of your favorite phrases, and one of them I think you've used over the years, and I want to ask you if you still think it's true, is you are what your record says you are. And this is a team that finishes now 7-5, same as last year's team. And I know there's a lot of consternation in the air about this 7-5 versus the last 7-5. But let me ask you, is this team who their record says they are?
That's a great Burnsing question.
Burnsing question.
I would say,
I like the soundboard there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. We got to get a sounder for that. Yeah. It's interesting. Fleck was after the loss to Northwestern. He's saying, we lost 10 NFL guys, and which is impressive that, Minnesota had 10 guys that are on NFL rosters last year or this year that were on the team last year. But there's part of me is like, and what did you do with those 10 NFL guys? You went 7-5. It's like you didn't get enough out of that team. I said 8-4 going into this year because I thought the home schedule was incredibly favorable. And it turned out to be that way for them. I will say it is the strangest Gopher team season that I can remember in a while.
Yeah. I feel like we said that last year too, but this one in particular. Yeah.
This one, because of the nature of the games, I think the blowouts probably say that. And then, if you ask me to characterize this season, I would say it was fine. It was okay. I know everybody wants to say it was great or it's terrible. It's to me, it's more complicated than that. I'll talk about this season and about the big picture, right? Optics to me matter. 4 of your 5 Big Ten wins came against 4 of the 5 worst teams. I mean, I wrote it down there. Their Big Ten wins, the teams combined in the Big Ten conference games. I don't care about non-conference because teams can schedule whoever. 9-36. So it wasn't like you're beating up the Titans. You're beating 0-9 Purdue, 1-8 Michigan State, 2-7, 2-7 Rutgers, and Wisconsin. As Garzier said, you needed some favorable officiating to beat Michigan State. That game may have turned if they don't pick up that flag. Rutgers, it takes the center snapping the ball when Athan's not looking for it. So it wasn't like they were dominating those teams and then get blown off the field, in the road games. But you won the games. You finished with a winning record, 5-4 in the Big Ten. You don't apologize for other teams' miseries. So I think it was fine.
Okay.
It's better than having a losing record, but I think the losses really bug me. The Cal loss bugged me. The Northwestern second half bugged me. Not showing up to play at Iowa bugged me. Ohio State and Oregon, you're going to get killed. Okay. Fine. A lot of teams, you'd like to be a little more competitive. I'm not saying that that's fine to get killed. Before the Oregon game, I said, just show up. I'm not expecting you to win. Just be in the fight. And they weren't. So I think it showed that they can beat bad teams, and they're got a long way to go to be the upper echelon. That's this season. Big picture, I think they've cemented themselves firmly as a middle of the pack Big Ten team. Like there's nothing that I see that indicates, boy, they're going to have back-to-back 4-win seasons. They're not going to, they're not on the edge of going through the wilderness like Michigan State is right now, like Wisconsin's doing right now. I don't see that coming. You're at a 7-win thing here. Like, can you pop it up? Can you get it to that next, as Garzy said, what PJ said, we got to get more out of this. Can you get it to that? You're not going to be a consistent 10-win team program. Sorry, I know people want that. I just don't see that happening with the money and the way college football is. You're solidly, firmly in the middle of the Big Ten. Can you get it another step up? That's what I want to see.
So the other question I want to kind of get your reaction to is, I looked after the game because with this win, the Gophers finished 5-4 in the Big Ten. So they're above 500 in the Big Ten. That's the 4th out of the last 5 seasons they finished above 500 in the Big Ten. The last stretch they had like that before this one they're currently on, Murray Warmath was the coach, and we were back in the 1960s. So when you hear something like that, so essentially for the first time in 60 years, they've finished now above 500 4 of the last 5 seasons in the Big Ten. Kiel never did that. Mason never did that. What's your reaction when you hear it?
Again, they're solidly in the middle of the Big Ten where they have, but I will say this is not Barry Alvarez's Wisconsin. This is not Paul Chryst Wisconsin. This is not Joe Tiller's Purdue. This is not Mark D'Antonio's Michigan State. This is not Gary Barnett's Northwestern. Those teams had
Ryan Day's
pop-ups.
Ohio State. It's Dan Lanning's Oregon. It's USC's still pretty good. Washington's pretty good. I mean, it's different than those days.
Yeah,
and those
it's different. The Big Ten is different.
Yeah, it's different.
I mean, you're adding teams. Yeah, you're adding teams. But I'm saying like those teams that we've seen that have been traditionally good or at least competitive, respectful. They've slid back. Whereas I think the floor, what PJ's done is he's raised the floor where, again, you're solidly in that middle of that Big Ten pecking order. And I don't see signs of this is going to be a 3-win program, 4-win program, back-to-back years. I just don't see that happen. I think you can have an expectation. Okay, bad year is going to be 6-6, right? Mm-hmm. He's kind of in that 6 to 8 win thing, which is if that's the expectation, like you just say, okay, 6 to 8 wins, bank it. That's a good spot to be. Now, can they get to where, okay, they have that year where they did it in 2019. Can they win 9? Can they win 10 and do that back-to-back years? I think that's, to me, what the next step for this program is. Does that make sense?
It does. I agree with everything you said. I agree with everything you said for the most part. I think the season was fine. I think it was a fine plus, right? Like you win all your home games. You've got the axe. You feel like you have the quarterback. And like 4 out of the 5 years you've beaten Wisconsin, however many years they've had the winning record in the Big Ten, like all of that is – they're in a good – what did I say, Burnsy, on Sunday? They're in a good, solid place. Like they are in that stability, that area. And as PJ said, now we got to go get more. Like now you do have to understand, like, let's go pop and have a 10-win season somewhere when the schedule allows it and you play well. Like I think all that's fair. I guess the question would be, is fine okay for people? Like, are we – because I feel like sometimes we get to a place where – and I see it all every week. Another 7-5 or, another, who'd you beat? It's like, well, when you beat the bad teams and lose to the good teams, you're going to end up where they finished, right in the middle of the Big Ten, right? Yeah. I think tied for 7th with Big Ten record. I think 9th, if you like, literally right in the middle.
Sounds like a lot of Viking seasons I've watched over the years, by the way.
Yeah. So I guess that's the question: is fine good enough for people? I would argue it should be. But you do have to have, at some point, like, if we have 5 more years of 7-5, then you go, okay, are we spinning our tires here? But I don't get the sense they're going to have that either, like with Drake and with how some of these other things are going. So I guess that's the bigger question, because I always feel like, and again, online's not real life, but even conversations I have with people just in my life about where the program is, I'm like, they're in a good, solid spot, which has not always been the case. And now the challenge, as you get higher and higher, is to try to figure out how to crack that. Even a guy came up, Burnsy, on Saturday and said, is it too much to ask that they're in the playoff mix, once every 7 or 8 years? And I said, I don't think that's unreasonable at all. I think that's what a lot of us have said. That's what they would have been in the playoff mix in 2019. Now that's 7 years ago, basically, once the clock hits January 1st, right?
Yeah.
So you do want to be in that mix again, probably sooner rather than later. But I just think, a good, solid, fine season, like you keep stacking enough of those up, eventually I think you are going to have the breakthrough where things pop your way for a 10-2 or a 9-3 and you're in the playoff mix.
Well, this is where I would say 2 points on this. We know the hardest thing to do is to find a good quarterback, right?
Yep. So you're going where I was going.
So I will be disappointed. What's that?
That's what Burns was going to say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I will be disappointed if Drake is here as a starter for 4 years that they don't have a couple pop-up seasons in there, because I think that's the starting point. You build around that. You should have some pop-up seasons. And I don't know if you guys feel this way, and every coach is optimistic about their team and they do it. But I just think when PJ starts the season saying, be delusional, why not us? This is a really, really good football team, a really, really good football team. Be delusional. We saw in India do. Coaches speak optimistically about the team, but when you do that and you lay yourself out there and then you get blown off the field and you barely beat, some of these teams that you feel like you should handle, I think that works against him. I think people are like, no, wait a second. You sold us something here that we're not seeing. And so I think that clouds the discussion. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but at least that's sort of how I feel.
I could not stress to you, when I was there at Big Ten Media Days and I'm hearing him say these things about be delusional, I'm thinking to myself, have you looked at this year's team? Thinking this is not the team to be delusional with, yet that was the messaging he went with. And I think that was a poor choice because, to your exact point, I think people probably had higher expectations for that. If you were going to do a be delusional one, I would have gone it with the 2024 team with that. But I want to cover great seasons like you two want to cover great seasons. And that's where the thing would be. You've got the quarterback, and he's going to be here another couple of years. I feel very confident right now that Drake Lindsay will be here in 2026. And again, I know I see the tweets. I run the message boards. I'm well aware. But you've already hit the hardest part. Now it's, can you build this thing around him? Can you get an offensive line that can run block? Can you get some receivers that can get separation? Can you find running backs that can stay healthy? Like, this is what you've been waiting for a very long time. Is Drake is the guy we thought Ethan was going to be, or even Tanner Morgan had really great seasons here. And Tanner will be the first to tell you Drake is more physically gifted and mentally gifted than he was. You've got the quarterback. And now can you build a roster around him? And that's going to also, again, we haven't spent a lot of time on the defense. We'll see what happens on that side of the ball. But you have to have this thing where you've got the hardest part got. Like, you got that going. Now it's, can you build a team around him to have a 2019 type of run? I mean, that's going to be the thing we talk about.
All right. Anything else big picture? Because we have a lot we're not going to get to today. We're not going to we're not even going to get to my game. Would this happen in Minnesota? But don't worry. We'll be able. I don't want to derail it with my own pettiness. I'm trying to be selfless. Forget about me. I love you, family. Yep. And so I'm going to try to be selfless here. Let's talk about some of the coaching carousels here in our final 10 minutes or so. The Lane Kiffin domino fell, as only Lane Kiffin can. He's talking all week about, I'm going to pray on it. And apparently when you're in the South and you pray, the God you call is Nick Saban. You don't check, you don't go up to heaven. You go to Tuscaloosa or whatever lake he lives on in Georgia, and you say, Coach, what do I do? And apparently Nick Saban said, you go to LSU, dummy. It's the best job. It's the best job in the country, is kind of how I read between the lines. I'll be honest, I'm very bummed. I wanted to believe in the humble Lane train and hot yoga in Oxford and everything that went with it. I feel bad for the kids that are there, the team, even though I'm sure a lot of them are going to just roll over to Baton Rouge with him. I'm too romantic about this stuff and feel like people should stay forever, but I thought he'd already proven that he's got pretty good support there, making pretty good money there. He's got a great team there. But there must have just been something different about that purple and gold LSU guys, where he is now the coach of the Tigers and will not be coaching Ole Miss in the playoffs, which, by the way, he shouldn't be. I agree with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm bummed because I feel bad for, given we're in a place that perpetually has not had a lot of hope in all of our sports. The worst thing you can do is have you get excited, you make a good hire, he builds your program, and then he leaves. And for a conference rival, that's a tough one, I would think, for Mississippi fans. So I'm bummed for them, and I'm just bummed for the whole situation that way. And now we see what happens in Baton Rouge.
Chip, you can go.
Yeah, I would say I started out saying I'm rooting for Indiana to win the national title. I'm now rooting for Ole Miss too. I'm pulling like crazy for Ole Miss to go get on a run and win this thing. We should talk about the calendar because there was no way this was not going to be messy. It was inevitable when you have the calendar set up the way it is. I agree. I mean, he's shown that you can be a playoff team in Ole Miss, and if you do it, if you got the right players, right coach, you can do it. But if you say, is it easier to win a national title, LSU or Ole Miss? I think everybody would say Ole Miss or LSU because of the, everything we know about it. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, we know coaches jump around a lot of times to start the clock over, and he's been there 6 years and a new challenge. And Lane's proven that he's going to, after a while, he's going to look to want to go somewhere else. And, this is what coaching is. They jump around. So I guess I wasn't surprised. I think he was, speaking of delusional if he thought that school was going to let him keep coaching through the playoff while he was poaching coaches and players to LSU and recruiting for them. Not going to happen, and nor should it happen. Sorry. So whatever the conversations were, he had to be like, come on, if you're going to take a job, go do it. But you can't have it both ways. And so I'm really pulling for Ole Miss. I would love to see them just get hot and go win this thing.
Part of being a grown-up is making grown-up decisions. And I know that this was a very difficult decision for Lane. But to then kind of drag your heels, as we kind of heard from the media on Saturday night or even Sunday morning, which did you guys see it? Even part of this saga was like Marty Smith out on the tarmac or outside of his house.
Is awesome.
The tweets about Marty Smith being like 100 years old, still waiting for a Lane Kiffin decision. That's us at our best as a country.
Yes.
When people can be creative like that and have funny memes and GIFs and just posts about just ridiculous scenarios. That's where I'm proud to be an American. A lot going on nowadays where you're not really sure, but like we have it in us to be hilarious, and we have it in us. And so they were Marty Smith, God bless him. God bless him.
And then he gets the interview where it looks like it's like post-nuclear fallout in the background. It's just a very somber Lane Kiffin. But again, with Kiffin, he's never cared about his public image. I mean, right or wrong, compared to most individuals in this sport, right?
It appears
so. No, he does not.
It appears that he does not. Does not bother him.
No.
So again, I get why he wanted to coach them, but I hated that even in his opening press conference at LSU. I think he said 3 or 4 times, I wish I would be able. If you wanted to, you could have just stayed.
Yeah, like, you could coach him next year too.
Yeah, with that team that you led to the playoff, and then you looked at those players, and again, I hear what you say, trust what you do. I hear that you say you believe in them, and then I see you leave because you don't believe in them. You don't think they can win a national championship there. So I get why he did it. Or even now, my favorite stat too is I saw one of the LSU beat writers say, for this brief moment in time right now, and this is Wilson Alexander who tweeted it, LSU is currently paying Lane Kiffin, Brian Kelly, and Ed Orgeron all here at the same time.
Ed has one more payment left, I think, of his buyout.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
3 different coaches that they are still paying out. And then again, it's just a coaching search where you get the governor of Louisiana involved. Like, this is what had to happen if you're going to do that, but just a wild end to the Kiffin saga.
Well, I would say, it's obviously, a marquee program where it has all the advantages. Also has a lot more pressure and a lot more people that have their hands in the mix, whether it's the governor, board of directors, all these, people that want to be influential in the football program. So now maybe Lane will be able to push that aside. I don't know, but it's LSU is a big thing, and there's a lot of people. It is, and so there's a lot of pressure that's going to come with that job, and that is a place where it is national championship or bust, or it's a disappointment. It just is. And would you bring his name and the money and everything they're throwing out, that's going to be the expectation. So I don't think there's been a lot of talk. Oh, this is opening the door to, man, this is going to become a new thing. Coaches leaving. I don't think so. I think this is an outlier. I think it's a unique situation. How often is a coach going to be in a playoff, have a team in a playoff, and have the opportunity to go to another school?
A blue blood. Yeah.
A blue blood. Will it happen again? Maybe, but I don't think it's going to be an annual thing that we have to just like panic and, okay, now we've opened another, gone down another rabbit hole. I don't see that. I think this is an isolated thing, special circumstance, unique circumstance. So now, does the calendar need to be adjusted?
Yes. I don't know what you do.
What do you move the games up? I mean,
do mid-August and then like a signing day in January? Like, I don't know what you can do to mess with the calendar, especially if they're going to keep adding games, which they're going to do at some point, right? With playoff expansion. Yeah. Like, you almost have to move it up the season, like we talked about, and have a week 00 or a week 000. And have it, in the middle of August. I don't know what you do to adjust the calendar and honestly, that's probably a big part of the reason why PJ Fleck's at Minnesota, because he straight up told people his last year at Western Michigan, I'm coaching this team in whatever bowl game we make. They made the Cotton Bowl January 1st, and a lot of schools had to make. I don't remember who was open that year, but a lot of schools had to make their hire before that, right? And the Gophers fired their coach after the bowl game, and PJ's available. He's done with Western Michigan, and now he's there, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's just the calendar is, it's not ideal. It's terrible because it sets up stuff like this, but I don't know how you fix that necessarily. I just don't. They've tried to do it with the portal for playoff teams, right? They only have one portal now, and because that was the other thing last year. Like the Penn State backup quarterback ends up leaving during their playoff run. What's he supposed to do? Like, he's transferring. He needs to get in the portal and go find a place. What are you going to do?
You got to have signing day at some point.
Yeah.
Schools have to be able to sign these players. I don't know if it's because of this one case, or are you just going to absolutely blow up the system and make dramatic changes to the calendar because Lane Kiffin, wanted to go to LSU. I agree with you. I don't know what you realistically can do in terms of moving the calendar.
Yeah, it's a whole different offseason. I do want to ask you guys, Jonathan Smith out, Joe Rossi out, Pat Fitzgerald in within, I think it was the 12-hour span.
Yeah, I love it.
Great hire.
The Pat Fitzgerald back in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I
think he's
Big Ten's perfect for him. I think it's a perfect hire. I think it's a great hire. When I saw him in Iowa City, because his kid's a walk-on in Iowa, I wanted to walk by him and say, can't wait for you to get back in. But I decided not to be a rube and let him have time with his family. It's great. And obviously they had that one in the chamber for a while.
Yeah, for sure.
They had that one in the chamber for a long time. There ain't no national search in that one. That's, hey, Jonathan Smith's out. Hey, Pat, go green. Let's go.
Well, I think about this. I mean, look what he did at Northwestern. And now think what we can do with the money and resources that they have at Michigan State. I think it's a home run hire for them.
See, I'm a little lower on it than you guys, but I also think the under talked about part of this tells me that Kirk Ferentz is going to be coaching a while. Because I think, especially with his kid there, Pat Fitzgerald at Iowa, if Ferentz was going to be retiring soon, maybe Fitz sits out this cycle to see what would happen with the Iowa Hawkeye job. But I'm going to assume this means Ferentz is staying there. If I'm going to go on the other side of the coin here, I want to see if Fitz can get this thing back, because where he really fell off towards the end there was when he lost his defensive coordinator, Mike Hankwitz. Like that thing, once he retired, and I think he's now 77 years old, Hankwitz is, really kind of went in the tank now. Yes, he elevated Northwestern to a place that now David Braun gets to run because Pat Fitzgerald walked, in terms of how high the floor is now. But Michigan State also loves themselves, and it's not clean baggage. Now, again, I don't know the language that was used in terms of Fitzgerald and Northwestern and how that thing ended, but Michigan State wants to win, baby. And Joe Rossi back on the street.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he ends up, right? Because, he could still be here, obviously.
Well, I don't even think if I'm him, I probably don't even coach next year, because I believe the whole deal was when he left Minnesota, he got a fully guaranteed 3-year deal that started in 2014. This was only year 2, so he's going to get, if it's 100% of his pay, it's 1 point something million. If it's half pay, he's going to be living off $750,000 next year. So fascinating stuff. Or even Fitz doesn't take this job if he thinks he's getting Penn State, which as we record here on Tuesday morning, maybe by the time the listeners have this, Penn State has closed on the BYU coach.
Kalani Sitake.
That whole saga to me is you don't fire James Franklin if you don't have something lined up. Now, I've seen some conspiracy theories, Chip, where Jimmy Sexton, the college sports agent czar, has made life apparently very difficult for the Penn State AD because he's so mad that he fired James Franklin. And maybe he's driving a very hard bargain, which I believe there's probably some truth to that.
Probably, yeah.
But are you surprised that, again, you have Black Saturday or Black Sunday, whatever it is, in terms of coaches fired and coaches hired? We're still, I mean, they fired Franklin 2 months ago at this point, and they still don't have a guy.
Yeah, it was interesting. I thought it would have happened quickly after.
That's what Lane, I would have thought.
You know, and I don't know who. I would love to know like what their list was, like their 1 through 4, and where they're at on their list right now. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm sure their fan base is getting restless right now. But if it's going to be the BYU coach, again,
that's
timing
a
on it.
Fascinating hire all around. If it is BYU's guy. Because, again, that's a guy, I've read the stories about him where, again, he was a BYU fan growing up. He used to listen to games outside of the stadium because they didn't have enough money to get into the stadium at BYU. And BYU, as we've seen in this NIL period, has certainly a lot of money. And the fact that this got national steam Monday afternoon, Monday evening, yet wasn't finished overnight, tells me that there is still some serious dialogue going on between them. So if they don't close on the BYU guy, which again, I think they will, even that fit there is just fascinating to me. Because again, we saw Clark Lee get the extension, the Missouri coach get the extension, Ignetti, Rule. I mean, name your guy. There's been a lot of extensions because of this job. But I don't think Pat Kraft, the Penn State AD, would tell you that he expected to be here the day before signing day and to still not have a coach.
I do find it fascinating. I don't know like how many schools contacted Clark Lee or his agent, but for a guy to say, I'm staying at Vandy.
Yeah.
When I'm sure he had some options, right? I mean, that, and hey, they just put 45 on my school. So
what was the best win of Tennessee's season? Would you say it was, because again, I looked at the schedule for Tennessee. I think the SEC wins, 3 of them, their coaches got fired. Would it be on the road at Florida?
Probably Florida. I mean, even though Florida's not Florida, but it's still.
And they're hiring the Tulane coach.
It's still Florida, you know. That's a disappointing. There's no way. I mean, speaking of my home, they're not my alma mater, but my school is. To give up 45 at home to Vandy is like.
That's tough.
That's going to be future Heisman finalist Diego Pavio to you, by the way, Mr. Scoggins.
Can I?
I know
we got to. I know we got to go. But this just popped on Twitter a little while ago, and it's just food for thought here. We were just talking about Pat Fitzgerald and Michigan State. I'm just going to read you these tweets. We were just talking about money and how you're going to pay for stuff and blah blah blah. Michigan State Athletics launches For Sparta, the capital initiative for MSU athletics, a $1 billion initiative designed to elevate facilities, enhance the student-athlete experience, and secure Michigan State's position as a leader in college athletics. You want some of the options that they're doing? A reimagined Spartan Stadium, including the new East Tower with a diversity of premium seating options and year-round functionality, will provide football fans the best in-game experience in college football. For Sparta is designed to impact every Spartan student-athlete with both sport-specific facility improvements across multiple venues and shared spaces, such as a student-athlete dining facility. The conceptual image displays new premium options, such as an exclusive club and courtside suites at the Breslin Center, by the way, built in the 80s, not 1928 like Williams Arena, providing an elevated experience for fans at Spartan basketball, volleyball, and gymnastics events. A new and renovated spaces in historic Jennison Fieldhouse will support volleyball, wrestling, and gymnastics. That's what the competition's doing, boys and girls.
Yeah.
This is the league Minnesota's in. And I talked to Mark Coyle at Wrigley Field about what they're thinking about our Wrigley Field, Williams Arena. And they're not thinking a lot right now, except they've talked about it. and it's on pause because now they got to pay the players. And here we are. I'm just saying that's what people are doing.
Yeah.
So we need to find some money. We need to find some donors. We need to find some people because this is not slowing down. None of it is slowing down. And everybody's crying poor, but they're still pouring hundreds of millions, and in this case, $1 billion, apparently. That's the investment that programs are making. So when we talk big picture and all these things, this is going to be the tricky part because your expectations have to be financed, as the great Rick Neuheisel says. And if you don't, you can still win. It's just a lot harder. It's a lot harder. So we'll see where it goes. Is that a depressing note to end on?
Not if you're Pat Fitzgerald.
No, yeah. Tom Izzo, speaking of coaching forever, Izzo's like, yeah, I got another few years in me.
Yeah,
I got a top 10 team. No big deal. So anyway, it's just another day in college sports. Another school spending $1 billion on enhancements.
Burns, is this your signing day? Is this just like you're in the bunker? You got signing day coming up, so you just like put your workman's attire on? Is that what this is?
Yeah, it's the Paul Bunyan outfit. It's the I didn't feel like doing my hair outfit today.
You're chopping wood in the basement on recruiting.
Yeah.
Get that stove going.
So next episode, we'll get to talk signing day. We'll get to see where they go to their bowl game. If you ask me today, I'm going to guess they're in Arizona against probably TCU or Iowa State.
No, Music City, huh? Come on, Nashville. It's been 20-something years.
I don't have enough time to go on my rant.
I know. We missed out on some rants today. We're going to have to get some rants going next week.
Yeah, we'll get some rants next week.
Yeah, we'll have playoffs next week. We'll have bowl game next week. We'll have signing day next week. We'll get into other big
talk. We got to talk.
We'll have Heisman. Yeah, we got to vote this weekend.
That's right.
Is that this weekend? Yeah.
Yes, because
they
give it out
right
after Army Navy.
Yeah, and
Saturday.
Yeah,
but we can talk
after. All right, fellas. Good work. Chipper, go to your project. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks, everybody who came up all season long at Huntington Bank Stadium and on the road and talked about listening to Parent and Spare, asking about Chip's phone, asking about Halloween. It's just it's great to have all these inside jokes with all of you. So continue to do that, and hopefully we see a lot of you at the bowl game and other events. Please make your holiday reservations at jaxcafe.com. It's jaxcafe.com, and we will talk to you next week on the Parent and Spare podcast.